I was at a networking event in Chicago years ago. Who knows which one? Because I went to all of them. It could have been SEMA, Chicago Interactive Marketing Association. It could have been Economics Club of Chicago. I paid for that one because it's a good idea if you're doing business development sometimes to make that investment. Or it could have been something Google did at their corporate headquarters in Chicago regional office for free. Didn't matter to me. As I was exploring, I had worked for a State Farm agent for 12 months selling business insurance door to door and succeeded. And the reason I did it was because there were 235 people ahead of me in Chicago to get an agency. And State Farm was moving people out to Arizona. And I'm like, no, terrible idea. So when I get an agency in Chicago, I got to prove I can sell and build an agency. That was their issue. So I did. So I went around to a bunch of agents, and the number 2 agent in the city hired me. And he paid me a base, and I did it and succeeded. State Farm has 130 business products, and most people don't sell them. They just do their agent thing. And this was a long time ago, so no one was doing that actively, at least that I saw. So I figured it out and succeeded. 12 months in, I realized I am not a future insurance agent in training. It's not going to happen. This is not right for me. Uh, and I'd closed a business and was looking for the next thing. So, of course, I'm out networking, talking to people a lot, trying to figure it out. Got into insurance. So I networked through one of the clients that I signed for State Farm and got a job as the area vice president of private client insurance for Gallagher, Arthur J. Gallagher in Itasca. Me. They hired me. The area president hired me to be and we were working out titles, and he says, well, you'll be like account executive, or he's some title. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I said, how about vice president? Because they have area president. So I'm reporting to the area president. So I could be the area vice president. I said that I'll have more clout. I already got a foot out the door day one because I know I'm going to get fired at some point anyways. I think I just needed a break. So I was there for 6 months and I put everything into it. And I got him to pay for my training in New Jersey. I went to Chubb School in New Jersey. Now I'm a broker. So you get wined and dined. No one's ever wined and dined me. So I'm like, awesome. I'll take your money. And I got him to send me out to San Francisco to their office out there to learn how to sell really wealthy billionaires. So someone had succeeded. Personal insurance, personal line. You work with what's called family offices and attorneys and estate planners, and it's like a whole trusted advisor network that runs the money for these wealthy families. And I'm now me, the area vice president of private client insurance at Gallagher. So I bought an Audi, an A6, and I traded in my Ford Explorer that I'd been driving around the city of Chicago's ethnic neighborhoods in for a year because the air ride system was broken. And I took it to the garage, and I found a good garage. It's hard to find quality mechanics. We'll get into that later. There's a point to this story. You probably figure that out by now. I always have a point to my stories. I never do anything unintentional. That's part of the point. Joe at Right Way did things right. And he looked at the car and he said, this car's a mess. It's a nice truck, though. He said, but it's going to cost a few grand to fix this air ride system. And it's worth about now 8 grand, 12 grand. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot, but it was a nice truck originally when I got it. I drive vehicles to the ground until they die. And it died because I'm driving all over Chicago selling insurance, business insurance. mortgage brokers. I'm in Chinatown. I'm in the African neighborhood. I'm in the Arab neighborhoods with the furniture retailers. State Farm they'd underwrite all kinds of risks. I created a partnership with their Aon division to do professional liability and errors and omissions for architects, engineers, dentists' offices. And every single business I saw, I would go to the underwriting groups and say, what can I sell them? Car washes, funeral homes. I learned the insurance business on the ground. That does not mean I know how to insure a billionaire's yachts. The area president thought I did, I guess, and hired me. Think about that. What is an area president anyways? So now I'm at Gallagher. Okay, now I'm at Gallagher. What do I do at Gallagher? So this isn't about that story. This is an example. How do you create a brand from an original story? Your brand, who you are. For me, the challenge has been the last couple of years, not wanting that to be in my story. Not because I'm ashamed of it. It's just I wanted to move past it. So now I'm in the social media economy, figuring out the social media economy. And that started probably 2016, 2015, 2014, 2008. As these things emerge, I go right in them and I try to figure out, what is this for me? What is my relationship to this wave of change in the market? How does this impact my brand? How do I create a brand in relation to this? It's messy. That's the challenge. So other people say, well, why stop pivoting? I'm not pivoting. Yeah, you are. You changed from this to this. No, I'm following the wave of change, and it's fast. So you're not seeing what's happening because I can't see what's happening, so I can't explain it. I just know, go do that next. I wanted to end that story. Doesn't work like that. Now, after Gallagher fired me when they realized I made a mistake, 6 months, I got 6 months out of them. They sent me a check for 6 months every month. Unbelievable. Thank you. I needed a break. And they paid for my car. And I remember I was like, I said, how about a car allowance to the area president? And he says, well, you got to earn that. I said, well, I've earned it. And he said, yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Area president. They had a bell in the lunchroom, not the lunchroom. It was the conference room. I couldn't wait to ring the bell. So if you got a sale, you got to ring the bell and everybody would run in and they have a beer. And I'm like, I'm ringing that fucking bell. I never ring the bell. But when someone else rang the bell, I went in and they had 3 kind of beers. They had light beer, regular beer, and fancy beer. I went right for the Heineken. And I thought, I have to earn my Heineken. No, that's not even a good beer. There's a lot of funny stories of this, but those are my stories. Now I'm going to tell them. But it took a while to unravel this. That's what I'm talking about. So I was going to talk about how I got into the marketing technology industry through meeting a woman, amazing woman, at one of those networking events. And I don't remember which one it was because I went to every one of them. As long as it was free or I had $100, like, let's go. And that's when you could go to networking events. This was before everyone was on their phone, too busy to talk to other people. It wasn't hard it's harder now. I wouldn't do it anymore. Like now, everyone who's talking to people is selling something. Back then, you could actually have really good conversations with people. Sometimes, depends, right? So I met, her name is Donna, and she's all excited because Donna was always excited. And she said, there's this great book. It's called Wisdom of Crowds. And she told me about it. I'm like, I'm reading that book. And I'm like, what are you doing? She said, it's like with the book. She's like, "I got a partnership with this company in the Bay Area, and it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. And I got these data scientists and neural networks." And she's explaining what's a neural network and what's a. I'm like, "What is all this stuff?" I already knew how marketing worked, so it fit together. I'm like, "This is it. This is next. I got to get in on this." I read the book and I called her up and I said, "That book's incredible." And she said, "You're hired." I said, "Great." We met. "How much?" "Well, nothing." She said, "Well, I'm not going to pay you. You're not going to pay me. Gallagher paid me." I said, "How about 5 grand a month?" She said, "Too much." "Okay. How about 2 grand a month?" "Nope." So what did I say? I said, "I'm in." And I jumped in. And it was quite a roller coaster with her. Um, we got a meeting with the CTO of the city of Chicago. We got a lunch with Jeff Hoffman, co-founder of Priceline. And then I'm doing my thing. All of a sudden, I'm in 3M's corporate office speaking to their .com team about something I didn't understand that I'd read about in a book. I'm meeting with people who run digital media companies, talking about something I loved, but didn't understand, and I didn't even work in the company because I didn't go with her stuff, which was customer service, um, help desk, kind of consumer data driven um, decision making. I didn't understand how any of this stuff worked. I'd never been in it, but I understand life. And I've been in business long enough, so I figured it out. Um, all of a sudden, I'm talking to Google's local office about a partnership. I remember the first call with their director of enterprise sales for corporate. And I told him how great it was. And he said, "We call that, Larry, show up and throw up. You want to try again?" I'd never had a sales job, so I didn't know what he was talking about. I'd always done business development, had my own company or something like that. And I sold marketing communications for a creative agency until they sold the company. And then I immediately quit when the corporate owners came in. So I didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, I said, "Yeah." He said, "Ask me what we're doing." And I said, "Okay, what are you doing?" And he told me what Google's strategy was for corporate. And they had this thing called the appliance, search engine appliance. And it was a perfect fit for this company in the Bay Area that I didn't work for. So I'm reporting up into the partner channel for a partnership that hadn't been completely baked. I didn't understand how the software industry worked. And the guy in the Bay Area was great. He was very tolerant of this. I got meetings going with Walgreens, CDW. I mean, I could go down the list. And he's like, "Okay, here they go again." He says, "What's your value add?" "What do I need a value add for? I got the meeting." I'm presenting on technology I don't understand to corporate executives that won't buy it anyways because it's new. I didn't understand that's how it worked. This part of my story, it's not that I was ashamed of it or don't want to remember it. It's I don't want to do that anymore. And that's early days. I'm not talking about what I did with the lead generation, sales outsourcing, and what I did in the tech industry as a business developer when I found some real companies I could work directly in that created me, gave me opportunity and all kinds of problems. So the beginning, middle, and end of your story, I'm going to read my thing now, need not be clear, but for effective brand to deliver results, it must be you, original and clear inside your desired market. So Maria was going to join me, but we had we're having some coordination challenges because it's almost done. So when you build new tech, we're not building technology, we're building a new infrastructure. And the integrations and the people involved, and it's very complex. And I'm not paying for anything, sort of like how Donna worked. Now I get it. Learn how Larry and I'm paying for a few things. Learn how Larry and Maria think about bringing original creations into the marketplace. I couldn't do this without Maria. How to feel your way through the brand process. Feel your way through the brand process and what mix of skills, expertise, and ability is needed. For me, it's all the skills, expertise, and ability, all of them. 36 skills. My vision is 36 experts, best in class on a video metaverse platform that anybody can afford anywhere globally. I explained that on a call a few days ago to somebody from my network in Chicago who built and sold one of the largest digital agencies in the country. And I learned a lot about digital media from him, and I interviewed with them. And luckily, they didn't hire me. I would have been terrible in sales, in the sales department. And I think he was smart enough to see that. And he's like, no. But we had a great talk, and he explained what he was doing in Chicago. And I thought all of a sudden it just clicked. Own my stories first. Second, act local, think global. I'm assuming what I do with Red Pill Pathway will work globally, and I decided it won't. It must be local for me to make it work. However, the Entrepreneur Experience platform and that company, brought to you by Red Pill Pathway, is a global brand and will be a globally known brand, the Entrepreneur Experience. And brought to you by, I'm 1/36th of that product, 1/36th. Otherwise, I just have a big group coaching program with a marketing system, and I didn't want that. I spent 2.5, 3 years trying to figure out how to do that, and then I realized I don't want that. It feels exhausting for me. Now I see people talking about, they're all excited about that model. Like, no, not for me. That's the point. Locally, Red Pill Pathway, you want access to me? You want me to work directly with you? You have to live in Chicago. We have to meet in person. And I have to price it so anybody can afford it. However, it's got to feel right for me, so I got to get paid. And the old model from the coaching industry works for me. And it's based on a book called The Prosperous Coach, Rich Litvin and Steve Chandler. And that was inspired by Steve Hardison, who worked with Byron Katie. It's real stuff, the deep stuff. That's why it works. And it would not work for the Entrepreneur Experience platform. And this was what I realized when I was talking to John, because I'm like, who are your clients? And he's telling me, and I told him, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me about marketing, please. And that my message is not right. And he didn't. He was telling me what his was. And I got triggered immediately. I do not need your advice. I know how this works. However, personally, locally, I got to decide. Red Pill Pathway, that brand is me and my time. And there's a leverage component where there'll be groups because you get access to the full 36, which doesn't yet exist yet. We got probably 14. So there's 3 groupings: founding member, founding ambassador, and then later founding partner. And there'll be other things coming after that, but I won't go into that because it's too much to explain right now. What is that brand? It's not the same as Red Pill Pathway. And we talked about that yesterday. Without Maria, Jesse, Rowan, and a guy by the name of Matt Bigger, who must come back, I couldn't do it. And without Cliff from Wheelo, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Too complicated. Too complicated. That team is beyond my pay grade. And to figure out how to organize it without Tom, who I paid, who can make it work and go high level, and Wheelo, and stitch the damn thing together. And somebody's got to architect this. Well, we got it all worked out, so it's going to work. Could not do that by myself. Impossible. The key for me with my brand, don't. That's not what I do. What do I do? Goes back to the blueprint. I talked about this a few weeks ago. This week's about stories. Simple, 3 stages. Start the conversation. Say what you really think a bit more. Maybe do it in private for a while if you're afraid to do it in public. I just did it in public and watched reactions. Second, as you see those reactions, watch how you expand inside or resist it. I resisted it. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything related to sales, business development, marketing, making money, none of it. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff anymore. The pressure builds up when you resist your destiny. That's what happened with me. And then people are like, wow, that guy's off the rails. No, I'm going through an inner process publicly. It wasn't off the rails. I was right on the rails. That's on the pathway, red pill pathway, right on it. Looks weird from the outside. That's fine. Just go. Keep going. That's when people say, keep going. And I'm like, no, don't run into a wall, fall down, hurt your nose, and then buy more upgrades of their program. That's not keep going. Keep going is trust yourself and keep going. And if people are giving you advice and saying, that's not going to work, realize they can't see what you can see. They can't. How could they? They're not inside you. So that's the inner part. I created a lot of processes for this because that's what I can do. I'm good at that part. Anchoring in the blueprint of who I am, and that blueprint exists underneath existence, and it's never changing. The blueprint doesn't change. The conditions of the society change. The world changes. Our relationship to the blueprint is where the power is. The power is in our relationship to the blueprint. And the blueprint expresses itself from inside us when we learn to pay attention to that more. That's called awareness. Self-awareness expands. Attention eventually will need to be on the market. But at some point, you could put all your attention on the market, win nothing. Even if you get Versailles or you're able to build Vatican City, at the end, there will still be a feeling of, can't take that with me, can I? Because you can't. Neither can I. Anchoring in that blueprint, for me, meant owning and claiming my life experience in a thread of a story that makes sense, finally, to me. Then, stage 3, external. Express it. That's called being yourself. Where? In your market. And what do you get in response? You get rocks thrown at you, maybe tomatoes, or sometimes people run away. And you have to go through that phase or not. It's up to you. I decided to go through that. And I thought, I can't do this in a vacuum. I have to do it in an experiment in the market. So if I'm going to get kicked in the teeth a few times, I can handle it. And if you can't, don't do it. Do it in private, behind closed doors. Do that work behind closed doors. I've done a lot of work behind closed doors with a lot of people over many years, starting when I was 17, including billionaires and people who are in the public forum, who are known. And I know everyone's the same because of that. I'm an early adopter. I was in AA from 17 to 24, not an alcoholic. I did not get there by mistake because I got to hear humanity's stories next to me and watch people cry who'd been through 3 tours of duty in Vietnam and lost everything and then came back and got kicked in the teeth by the society. And then this man, I'll never forget this guy. Never, Lloyd. He got married and had a baby. We're at the Day by Day Club in Highland Park, Illinois. He had a baby and got married. Lloyd. He couldn't believe it either. He's like, for me, prison, death, or go back to war. Amazing. Billionaires, millionaires, it's all the same thing. When you claim your story in the market and you do it publicly, people aren't going to like it. They're going to want you to fail, but not all of them. A lot of people are going to want you to fail because they don't want to disrupt their little party. And what you want to do, I did, what you want to do is what you figure out works for you, but understand the blueprint and the principles behind all these things underneath the surface. The archetypal world is where truth resides. We express it through ourselves, through this physical form, in this world, in this life, here, now, here, not up there in some magical fairyland. No, it comes down here. But that's where the truth is. How do you get there? It's inside you. It's inside me. It's inside every human being. Is it possible to do this alone? I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. I know it's not possible. It's not how it works. Where are we going now as a society is going to be interesting. And I'm working out something called flexible founder mode through my stories. That's what I do. I tell stories to myself. I crack myself up. I cry. I laugh. I say, did that really happen? And then I got to look it up. I'm like, did I actually go to that conference? Did I do that? Did I really do that? Or did I get the facts wrong? Sometimes I get the facts wrong. I mix up two conferences. I'm like, I met Daniel Hamburger, president of DeVry, in a small room, and I asked him a question, and he said, don't say for profit. Say private sector. And I'm like, yeah, but, and I said, no, shut up. You're trying to make money here, not educate this guy. And I got an opportunity for a company I work for with Lake Forest College that went south because I didn't ask the right questions, or who knows, because it was the wrong company. Who knows? It doesn't matter. That's the for-profit market, now called private sector. I don't know what they call it anymore. It's a marketing industry business. And then there's the not-for-profit market. And I went to that conference too, National Association of College Admissions Counselors, Enrollment Management People, NAICS or something. And there's a big company called Staymates that sponsors all this stuff. So I'm running around with all those people. And that's not-for-profit. 6,000 of them, I think, on the list. Lots of stories. I can't even keep up with them. They're coming so fast. And then it's like, okay, well, you got to pay the bills. You got to deal with the IRS. You got to make sure the technology gets finished. And part of doing this is have fun. That's why we have energy coaches, mindset coaches, and relationship coaches as part of our platform. I'm 136th of the Entrepreneur Experience product. You don't even have to talk to me if you don't like me. Don't come to any of my sessions. Private client stuff, you must live in Chicago, and you must have had at least one entrepreneur success where you got the shit kicked out of you. I still have 2 people to give money back to that I took money from. They could not do what I was teaching them to do because I shouldn't have taken them on as clients. And that money's coming when I can afford it. I'll do it. I guarantee. I promised you, and and it was a couple years ago, but I promised you, and I will pay you back because I need to. So I get that energy out of me. Catherine Chadwick and Mark Scrementi, great people. They paid me. Couldn't help them get a result because they were the wrong fit for what I do. And we had a technology problem with Mark. Mark's not the wrong fit, but we had a technology issue where he kept getting charged and I wasn't paying attention. And how do you make it right? Make it right. One more minute. Flexible founder mode. I can do this quick. There's 5 ways right now. Be in the hierarchy, get career going. Second, technology founder mode. Get somebody to pay for your experiments. and your ideas as an entrepreneur. Third way, social media influencer way, get popular, get known, and monetize it. That's the third way. Fourth way is a hybrid way, which is in some ways for a lot of people the best way. So get corporate experience, but have a foot out the door, get the network built, and then do the influencer thing if you want. But be aware they own your product if you do it wrong. So we're going to work more on that with flexible founder mode. The fifth way, which I'm calling, and I'm claiming this right now, flexible founder mode, and you can't trademark it because it's the word flexible, founder, and mode. So if you try to trademark that,